welcome back to Prime Wealth. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Alex. We're really glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, today's episode is going to be super interesting. We're diving into something we've all probably experienced at some point, overspending.
Absolutely. It's like, why do we sometimes buy things we don't really need?
Right? It's so easy to get caught up in the moment, especially with all the influences around us.
Exactly. And today, we're going to explore the psychology behind spending and why it can be so hard to stick to a budget.
We'll talk about things like emotional spending, social pressures, and even how marketing plays a role in our choices.
Plus, we'll share some practical tips on how to overcome those urges and make more mindful decisions with your money.
So important. It's all about being more intentional, so we can enjoy our lives without the stress of overspending.
Yeah, and we want to empower you with tools to take control of your finances so you can feel more secure and confident.
So stick around, everyone. We've got some really relatable insights coming up. Let's get started. So, Alex, today we're diving into a topic that really hits home for a lot of us, the psychology of spending. Why do we overspend, especially as we get older?
Yeah, it's a big one, Jordan. A lot of people over 40 are in a unique life stage. They might be dealing with things like kids heading off to college, maybe caring for aging parents, and that can really affect how we view money, right?
Absolutely. And I think there's this underlying pressure, too. With social media and all the ads we see, it can feel like everyone else is living this perfect life.
Right. Studies show that people tend to compare themselves to others, and that can lead to overspending. Like, if you see your friends going on fancy vacations or buying new cars, it can make you feel like you need to keep up, even if it's not in your budget.
Exactly. And I've read that people over 40 are often in their peak earning years, so there can be this assumption that they should have their finances sorted out. But when life throws unexpected expenses your way,
like medical bills or home repairs, it can throw everything off balance. It's like you suddenly feel that pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, even if it means going into debt.
Yeah, that emotional aspect is so important. I think a lot of people don't realize how much emotions can drive our spending habits.
For sure. There's this concept called retail therapy, right? People often shop to feel better when they're stressed or anxious.
Oh, definitely. I've done it myself. You have a rough week, and then you find yourself buying a new pair of shoes, thinking it'll make you feel better. But it's usually just a temporary fix.
Exactly. And then there's guilt afterward. You feel good in the moment, but then you wonder if it was worth it, right?
Totally. And let's not forget about the influence of marketing. Companies know how to tap into our emotions to encourage spending.
Yes, they create these narratives that make us believe we need their products to be happy or successful. It can be really powerful, especially if you're feeling vulnerable.
Right, and there's this statistic I came across. It said that over 60% of people over 40 feel that financial stress impacts their mental health. That's huge.
That's a staggering number, Jordan. It shows just how intertwined our emotions and finances really are. And when you're stressed about money, it can lead to more spending as a way to cope, creating this vicious cycle.
Absolutely. And I think for many, there's this idea that I've worked hard, I deserve this. But it's a fine line, isn't it? Enjoying life versus overspending.
Definitely. It's all about balance. It's important to treat yourself, but you also need to think about your long-term goals, like retirement or saving for emergencies.
And then there's the whole aspect of financial planning. If you're not careful, you could find yourself in a really tough spot later on.
Exactly. And I see it often with clients who come to me, saying they've been living paycheck to paycheck, even with decent incomes. It's often due to that emotional spending, plus a lack of clear financial goals.
Right. And I think it can be really hard to shift that mindset, especially if you've been used to spending a certain way for years.
Yeah, but it's never too late to change those habits. I had a client once who was in her late 40s. She realized she was overspending on things she didn't really need, like subscriptions and clothes.
Oh, that's a classic. Those little subscriptions really add up.
Exactly. So, we worked together to create a budget that included some fun money for her, something to enjoy without guilt, but also focused on her savings goals.
And how did she respond to that?
She was relieved, actually. Once she understood where her money was going, it made it easier to make conscious choices. She felt empowered, and her spending decreased significantly.
That's such a great example, Alex. I think it shows that awareness is key. But how do we start to shift that psychology?
Well, we can talk about some practical strategies next. It's all about creating a healthier relationship with money, recognizing those emotional triggers, and setting clear goals.
Yes! I can't wait to dive into that. It's so important for people to understand that they can take control no matter their age.
Absolutely. So let's get into those strategies. So Jordan, today we're diving into something that I think a lot of us can relate to. Overspending.
Absolutely, Alex. I mean, it's so easy to do, right? You go into a store for one thing, and suddenly you've got a cart full of stuff you didn't even plan to buy.
Exactly. It's like, our brains just get wired to want to spend more, especially when we see things that catch our eye or when we're feeling a bit down.
Yeah, and that's such a great point. It's not just about the money, it's really about our emotions, too. So what are some of the core strategies you recommend for tackling this?
Well, one of the first steps is to really identify your triggers. What situations or feelings make you want to spend? Is it stress, boredom?
Right. Like, I've noticed that when I'm stressed about work, I might sneak in an online shopping spree.
Exactly. And being aware of that can help you take a step back. So I'd suggest keeping a spending journal for a month. Just jot down what you buy and how you felt at that moment.
Oh, that sounds like a useful tool. It's almost like a mini therapy session, right?
Exactly. It helps you connect your emotional state with your spending habits. Then, once you have that data, you can start to see patterns.
So if you know that you tend to overspend when you're bored, you could find alternative activities to fill that time instead of shopping.
Yes. You could try, picking up a hobby or going for a walk. Just finding healthier outlets can really make a difference.
And I love that idea. Another strategy I've heard of is the 24-hour rule.
Oh, definitely. That's a classic. So if you're thinking about making a purchase, you wait 24 hours before buying it.
Yeah, and during that time, you can really evaluate if you need it or if it was just an impulse.
Exactly. And here's a tip. Make it a habit to ask yourself 2 questions. First, do I really need this? And second, can I live without it for a while?
Those are solid questions. They really force you to think critically about your purchase, huh?
Right? And if you find yourself saying, nah, I can live without it, that's a win.
So then, once you've identified your triggers and have the 24-hour rule in place, what's next?
Well, another strategy that I find useful is setting spending limits. Having a budget can feel restrictive, but it's really about giving yourself freedom within limits.
That's a good perspective. It's like saying, I can spend, but I have a set amount, right?
Exactly. You can create categories for essentials, fun, and savings. And once you hit your limit in a category, it's a signal to stop spending in that area.
And I think that makes it easier to be mindful about where your money goes.
For sure. And speaking of being mindful, I recommend using apps or tools to track your spending. There are several great ones out there that can help you visualize your expenses.
Oh, I love that idea. Seeing things laid out can really help you understand your habits better.
Yes, and there's another aspect to this. Consider using cash instead of cards for discretionary spending.
Interesting. So, if you take out a set amount of cash for fun spending, once it's gone, it's gone?
Exactly. It makes it more tangible. You feel the money leaving your hands, which can help curb those impulse buys.
That's a powerful way to change your mindset. I can see how that would create more awareness around spending.
Definitely. And another useful habit is to review your spending regularly. Maybe once a week or month, just sit down and take a look at where your money went.
That's such a great idea. It's like checking in with your financial health.
Exactly. And during these reviews, you can celebrate your wins. Like, hey, I stuck to my budget this month, or I didn't buy that extra pair of shoes.
Yeah, those little victories matter.
They really do. And it's also an opportunity to adjust for the next period. Like, okay, I overspent in dining out this month. Let's set a smaller limit for next time.
That's a smart way to be proactive.
And, another thing to consider is automatic savings.
Oh, right. Like setting up an automatic transfer to your savings account each month?
Exactly. It's out of sight, out of mind. You won't miss what you don't see. And it helps build your savings without even thinking about it.
That's so true. And it also creates a buffer for those times when you might be tempted to overspend.
Exactly. And it's all about creating a safety net for yourself.
So to wrap this up, it seems like the key strategies are to identify triggers, implement the 24-hour rule, set spending limits, use cash, and review your spending regularly, right?
Yes. And don't forget about automatic savings. Those are all great practical steps.
Awesome. But before we end, let's touch on some common pitfalls people might encounter while trying to manage their spending.
Absolutely, because, it's one thing to know the strategies, but it's another to avoid the traps that can lead us back to overspending.
Right. Let's break those down next time. So, Alex, diving into the psychology of spending today, right? I mean, overspending is something so many of us deal with.
Absolutely, Jordan. It's really common, especially as we get older and maybe feel the pressure of wanting to enjoy life more,
Right? There's this sense that, well, we've worked hard all our lives, so it's okay to treat ourselves, but, where do we draw the line?
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is not really understanding their triggers. What pushes them to spend more than they should.
Oh, totally. I mean, I've been there. You're having a rough day, and suddenly, a shopping spree feels like the best way to cope.
Yes, that emotional spending is a huge one. It's like a Band-Aid for whatever we're feeling at the moment. But it often leads to regret later on.
For sure. I read about someone who, after a breakup, just went all out on new clothes and gadgets, thinking it would help them feel better. But a month later, they were drowning in debt.
Right, and that's the danger sign. When we start spending to fill a void or escape from uncomfortable feelings, that's when it can spiral out of control.
So true. And another common pitfall is the whole keeping up with the Joneses mentality. Seeing friends or neighbors with new cars or fancy vacations and feeling like you need to match that.
Yes, that comparison game can be really dangerous. It's like we're constantly measuring our worth against others. I mean, it's so easy to fall into that trap.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't realize how that pressure can lead to overspending. They might not even need those things, but it feels like a necessity to fit in.
Right. And then there's also the issue of lifestyle inflation. As we get raises or promotions, we often think we can afford to spend more. But really, it's just a slippery slope toward overspending.
Oh, for sure. It's like, hey, I can finally get that fancy coffee every day. But then it turns into multiple splurges a week.
Yes. And before you know it, those small expenses add up. That's a classic sign that your spending is outpacing your income.
And it's not just about the big purchases, right? Those little things can really sneak up on you.
Exactly. It's those daily habits, like grabbing lunch out instead of packing it. They seem innocent at first, but they can create a huge dent in your budget over time.
Yeah, I think people often overlook those small expenses. They're like, oh, it's just a few bucks here and there. But it can really add up.
Definitely. And then there's the whole issue of impulse buying. When you're shopping and you see something shiny and just have to have it.
Oh, the classic, I didn't even know I wanted this moment. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of it all, especially with online shopping, making it so accessible.
Yes. Online shopping is a double-edged sword. It's convenient, but the ease of clicking buy now can lead to regret later.
And I think a lot of people forget to set boundaries for themselves. Maybe having a list or a budget could help, but often it's just, ooh, that looks nice, and then, boom, you've overspent.
Right. A budget is really a crucial tool. It's not about restriction. It's more about giving yourself permission to spend within limits.
That's such a positive way to look at it, and I think recognizing those patterns is key. If you notice you're always spending on things that don't really bring you joy, that's a big red flag.
Absolutely. And self-reflection can really help. Maybe keeping a spending journal for a month could shed light on where your money's going.
That's a solid idea. Just like Writing down everything can reveal those habits you might not even realize you have.
Yes, it can be eye-opening. And also, looking at your emotions before a purchase can provide insight. Ask yourself, am I buying this because I need it or because I'm feeling something else?
That's such a good point, Alex. It's about checking in with yourself, right? Like, why do I want this instead of just going for it?
Exactly. And when you catch yourself about to make an impulse buy, giving yourself a little time, like a day or two, can help you decide if it's really worth it.
Totally. It's like hitting pause before diving in. And I think another good practice is to focus on your values. What really matters to you? Is that purchase aligned with those values?
Yes! Aligning your spending with your core values can create a more fulfilling financial life. It's about prioritizing what truly brings you happiness.
I love that. So how about those who realize they've made some mistakes and want to recover? What's a good first step?
Well, recognizing the problem is already a huge step forward. Then, setting realistic goals can help. Maybe start with a small budget adjustment or create a savings plan for something meaningful.
That sounds so doable. And it's all about progress, not perfection, right?
Exactly, Jordan. Small changes can lead to big results over time. And remember, it's okay to seek support if you need it, whether from a financial advisor or a trusted friend.
Right. Talking about it can really help lighten the load. And hopefully it encourages others to join the conversation about spending, too.
Yes, it's all about creating a healthier relationship with money. So let's keep our eyes open for those warning signs and make thoughtful choices moving forward.
Agreed. It's all part of the journey. Thanks for sharing your insights today, Alex.
Anytime, Jordan. Always a pleasure to chat about these important topics. So, Jordan, we've talked a lot about the psychology behind why we overspend. Now let's dive into what our listeners can actually do about it, right?
Absolutely, Alex. It's all about taking those next steps. I mean, where should we start?
Well, first off, I think it's important to get a clear picture of your spending habits. Like really know where your money is going each month.
Right, so maybe a good first step would be to track your expenses.
Exactly. There are some great apps out there for that. One I really like is Mint. It links to your bank accounts and categorizes your spending automatically.
Oh, I've heard of that one. It's pretty user-friendly, I think, which is nice for people who might not be super tech-savvy.
Yeah, and it's free, which is always a bonus. Another option could be YNAB or You Need a Budget. It's a bit more hands-on, but it really helps you manage your money proactively.
I love that idea. So once you have a handle on your spending, what's next?
Well, after tracking your expenses, I recommend creating a budget. A simple one that reflects your values and goals.
Right. And it doesn't have to be super complicated, right? Just a few categories like essentials, savings, and fun money.
Exactly. And speaking of fun money, I think it's really important to build in a little room for enjoyment. Otherwise, you might feel deprived and end up overspending later.
So true. It's all about balance. And what about habits? Any daily habits we can build to help curb that urge to overspend?
Great question. One habit I suggest is the 24-hour rule. So if you're tempted to make an impulse purchase, wait 24 hours.
Oh, I love that. It gives you time to think it through, right?
Exactly. You might find that you don't even want it after that waiting period. Another habit is to set spending limits for yourself. Like, say, a weekly allowance for discretionary spending.
That's a good idea. And then, if you stick to that limit, you can feel good about treating yourself without guilt.
Right. And it helps you stay accountable. Maybe even find a buddy to check in with about your goals.
Oh, yes. Accountability partners can be so helpful. They can remind you of your goals when you're tempted to splurge.
For sure. And let's not forget about the power of mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness before making a purchase can really shift your mindset.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. So take a moment to ask yourself, do I really need this? Or how will this purchase align with my values?
That's a great way to pause and reflect. It's like a little check-in with yourself before you make a decision.
Exactly. And it can be really eye-opening. Now, what about resources? Any books or tools you recommend?
Oh, there are some fantastic books out there. One that comes to mind is Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. It's all about transforming your relationship with money.
Yes, that's a classic. And I'd also suggest The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It dives deep into the behaviors and emotions tied to our financial decisions.
Those are both really insightful. And what about practical tools?
Well, aside from the budgeting apps we mentioned, I also think it's worth looking into a savings app like Capital. You can set rules for saving money automatically, which can be a game changer.
I love the idea of automating savings. It takes a mental load off, doesn't it?
Definitely. And another tool to consider is a simple spreadsheet if you prefer a more hands-on approach. You can design it however you want.
That's such a good point, Alex. Sometimes going old school with pen and paper or a spreadsheet can feel more personal.
Right, and it can help you stay committed. Now, as we wrap up here, let's talk about starting small.
Yes, it can feel overwhelming to think about all these changes at once. What's a good way to ease into it?
I'd suggest picking one small change to start with. Maybe it's tracking your spending for a week or setting a budget. Just one thing that feels manageable.
And then once that feels comfortable, you can gradually add more tweaks to your routine.
Exactly. It's all about progress, not perfection. Small steps lead to big changes over time.
I love that approach, Alex. It makes it feel so much more achievable.
And remember, it's a journey. Celebrate those small wins along the way. They matter.
Absolutely. So to all our listeners, take these steps one at a time. You've got this.
Yes, you really do. We're cheering you on.
All right, let's transition to our outro. Wow, Alex, that was such an insightful discussion on the psychology of spending. I mean, I really think we uncovered some important points today.
Yeah, for sure, Jordan. It's fascinating how our emotions and habits can really drive our spending decisions. So let's recap a few key takeaways, right?
Absolutely. So first up, we talked about how emotional triggers can lead to impulsive purchases, like when we're feeling stressed or bored, right?
Exactly. And that awareness is the first step to taking control. If we can recognize those triggers, we can make more mindful choices.
And then there's the whole idea of social influence. You know, keeping up with friends or social media can really impact our spending habits.
Right. It's like we often compare ourselves to others without even realizing it. And that can lead to overspending as we try to keep up with the Joneses.
And let's not forget about the importance of setting clear financial goals. Having a roadmap can really help us stay focused and curb those impulse buys.
Yes. When we have a purpose for our money, it becomes so much easier to resist temptation.
So to wrap it all up, being mindful of our emotions, understanding social influences, and setting clear goals, those are key to managing our spending better.
Exactly. And remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. Small changes can lead to big results over time.
Well said, Alex. And hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Maybe share this with someone who's over 40 and could use some practical advice, right?
Absolutely. We'd love to hear your stories and tips, so share away.
And next time, we're diving into automating your finances. You know, setting it and forgetting it. It's going to be super helpful.
Yeah, you won't want to miss it.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, and see you next time.
Bye.